Harry Maguire as sort of the captain. He puts out like Pogba, Matic, and a few guys that basically there's a few guys that did really well in like Martial and stuff that do really well in the Champions League game that he didn't put starting
right
in the Premiership game. Then we end up losing, and so everyone loses faith in Ollie. But then he pulls it out of the bag against Everton on Sunday.
Is there a different style of play then between few of the players? Like, is there sort of like a European team and then a Premier League team? Do you know what I mean? Is there a group of guys that play in that very sort of that Barca style of play? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird. I think so. I mean, what I'm gathering is we've got a load of midfielders, like a ton of midfielders, and no defenders whatsoever. Well, that's harsh, but like we've got too many of one position basically. So we've got like Martial, Rashford, Pogba, Fernandes, Matic, all these guys that are sort of in this roughly the same area. Obviously, they have their own specialties and stuff like that. Greenwood, loads. There's more that I haven't even mentioned that constantly get rotated. But our defenders are Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, and the sort of second centre back changes a bit.
Right.
But the defence never gets cycled out hardly at all. It's like they're set in stone, but they are the worst of our team, basically.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So we've just got way too many midfielders, and
it seems.
Sorry, just a funny thing I saw the other day. We conceded a goal against Istanbul, and basically it was a counter attack where they just passed it to their forward, and there's no defenders by him at all.
What?
And I see there's Matic, our midfielder, running after him, and I'm like, Matic isn't a defender, that's weird. And then they do a replay, and all four of our defenders are in their box.
What?
All four of them.
They're just waiting for the counter attack back in your own box.
No. In Istanbul's box.
Oh, what on earth?
All four of them. And I'm just so shocked.
What?
It wasn't even like a corner or anything.
Yeah. Occasionally you get a fullback who's really good with his head, and he'll always come up for corners and stuff.
That's Maguire. That's why we have Harry Maguire. He's really tall, really good sort of for the corners and heading up, and he's always up there.
Yeah.
And then we've got like Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw who are very aggressive, but it's very rarely all. Well, I don't think I've ever seen all four of them up there. And it was like the middle of the first half. It was 0-0 at the time. It's not like we're like chasing a goal. You know, it was so weird. So yeah, it was just things like this are happening, and it's just that people like there was a good interview with Ferdinand, like obviously a legendary Man United defender, just looking at it and like saying, I have no idea what's going on.
The pundit doesn't know the tactics.
No. He's like, I don't understand the tactics whatsoever. This is like something you'd see on a school football game, basically.
It sounds like final minutes of a World Cup semi-final. Like the goalkeeper's up, like everyone's up.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible.
Yeah. It was really, really interesting. So, yeah, I think I've sort of pinpointed the weakness of the team now. I've watched enough games to sort of get an idea. Okay, right, this is where we're struggling.
Yeah.
So that's our problem. Like we seem to have a lot of sort of offense, but our defense is fragile, shall we say?
So I've got a question for you. This begs the question: how long do you give a manager before you give him the chop? Because this is relevant to NFL as well. Like how long, how much opportunity do you give them? Because coming as a sort of lifelong Notts County fan, like they basically give them about 2 games before they fire them, basically. So we can easily burn through 2 or 3 managers in the season, like no problem. And every time they do it, I'm just like, what are you doing? They've only just, do you know what I mean? They've only just found their way around the stadium. They've only just got their name tag. Like, how do they? Yeah. How? I mean, I know Solskjaer joined the club last season. Is it end of last season?
Yeah. I think no, it was like midway through, and he managed to get them up, do pretty well with them because they were in a bad state.
I remember the headlines now. Yeah, because he came in and and he did well for the first few games.
top 5'd them, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, which was big. This is why, like, I think we need. I don't like the sort of NFL style of just if you lose an X amount of games, you just get fired, because I think it takes so. It depends. I think obviously it depends. Like if you've lost the locker room, if you've lost the team and they don't respect you, then you've got to go. Like you can't go back from that. Yeah. But if they still believe in you, then I think it's worth sticking out and just giving someone time. But I think with a team like Man U, they just can't afford it. They need the money. They need people watching and buying the stuff and turning up to the games. And I think I've been watching a couple of guys sort of that are big Man U fans, and they have an issue with the owners.
Right.
Well, there's not a consensus at all, but there's a lot of people that think that it's not necessarily Ollie's fault. He's just not been given enough money.
Right.
Basically, which is weird because, like, I think Harry Maguire was like 80 million or something silly, and Wan-Bissaka was like 50 million.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's big numbers. These are defenders as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I haven't been following closely enough to make an educated guess, so I'm going to just trust what they just do. But I think I like Ollie. I think having a sort of someone like him is a lot better, because I think the guy they're going to get if they do replace him is going to be Pochettino, who was Tottenham for a while, right before Mourinho. So, and there's just no connection there.
Yeah,
in the past or anything. I don't know. What do you reckon?
I think you should stick with the manager as long as possible. I mean, I'm not a football economist, so I don't know how quickly they have to get rid in terms of like keeping the club afloat or anything. But I think unless you know that, like you say, he's lost the locker room, unless you've got inside knowledge where the players are tweeting, sack him, sort of thing. Then it's exactly. Get rid. But like, I guess as someone who watches it on telly, like we'll never know, will we? Until the players sort of leak information. So I think, assuming that he's still got the locker room, I think keep going. There's got to be some sort of problem. It's some of the support staff might have to change. Some of the methods have to change. Discipline has to change. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm in the camp of like give the manager as much time as possible, because as soon as you sack them, like you're only just guaranteeing another 3 months of turmoil, aren't you? Really, you might have a little bit of luck when the new manager comes in and wins his first couple of games, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is incredible! New manager's amazing." But then reality sets in, and it's like, no, you've not solved the problem. You've just you've just rebranded. Basically, you've still got the same problem.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree. It's just the weird thing for me with Ollie is that he's not, like, when a team does well, he doesn't stick with it. Which I get, because they're playing like 2 games a week at the moment. Yeah, that's nuts. Which is pretty heavy. So I guess I do kind of understand it, and it's not really fair. But the thing is, the worst players aren't getting swapped out.
Right.
Swapped out rather. The defense is sort of the weakest link, and they're just not. There's not enough depth in the team to sort of like they have everywhere else in the team, and it's strange. That's probably the issue. So maybe that's not his fault. That's just the players he's got. So it's interesting. I can't keep up. Like I say, we win. I'm never confident watching a game at the moment. Like it could go either way. It's an interesting one. But what about City? How are we doing?
I've got to be honest. I'm slacking a little bit with Premier League. I saw we drew with Liverpool the other day, and I read an article about that, and apparently that's like a litmus test to who's going to win the league. City versus Liverpool, right?
Right.
So in the past few years, when either City or Liverpool have won the league, they've won that matchup, basically, the person who's gone on to win the league. And it was a draw. It was 1-1. So that's told us nothing. Maybe that means that neither of them are going to win the league. I know Kevin De Bruyne missed a penalty, which I think is sacrilege. Like, I think if you're taking a penalty in a Premier League team, I think you've got to be a good penalty taker, right? I mean, terrible fan here. I didn't actually see the penalty, but I'm going to watch it straight after this. And if he was fanning about doing some prancy little tap into the bottom corner, I'm going to be furious because we've already spoken about this. Your penalties must always be like a rocket into one of the top corners. That's your only option. Don't go down the middle. Exactly. Don't fanny about. Don't do a little Cristiano Ronaldo like twinkle toes. Just plough in, smack it in the top corner. Job done. Do you know what I mean?
Point to the opposite corner you're aiming for.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you hit, that's it. That's nod at it. Stare at that corner the entire time, and just go, oh, yeah, no, for sure. I cannot stand it. Fernandes in Man U, he does that. He does this really weird. It's like a Ronaldo, but it's like much slower.
Right.
and it's much jumpier as well. He like sort of skips to the ball, and then he's just like he like hoofs it. Oh, you should But after you watch that penalty, however bad that is, watch his. He misses one against I think PSG, and then he gets to retake it and scores it the second time. Thank God.
Right.
But I think it was PSG. It was some team anyway. I cannot stand that. So that's not ideal. Missing a penalty isn't the one.
No way. So, mate, I think we should drop back into another little Munich audio file. Yeah,
let's do it.
So we got off the plane, obviously, and we got on a train into town. Here's what happened. So we've made it. We're in enemy territory. They let us in. We're all good. We're on the train. We're on our way into town.
Couldn't stop us.
No matter how hard they try. Yeah. They made us fill in a form. We obliged because we are good global citizens, and then we waltzed right in.
You don't need to fill it in.
Yeah. Too many forms, kind of thing. So on our way into town, gonna check in, get a little coffee, maybe light up a little pipe. Maybe a mild tobacco, I reckon, seeing as we've been up since 3:30 or 3 or whatever. So, we'll report how our palates feel in a bit when we subject them to tobacco at this time in the morning. Okay, so NFL.
Yes.
Another disappointing loss for the Bears last night. We've finally been found out.
Yeah.
We're at like 5-4 now, I think. Maybe at least 5-3. Maybe 5-4. So we had a nice little comfortable lead, and now it's being eaten away. We're 5-4 now. Lost to the Titans, which I kind of expected because the Titans are a great team. But it started off as a really, really slow game. I actually lost interest halfway through because there was just nothing happening. Both defenses were on fire, just shutting down everything, and there was just not much happening. But there was a lot of punting going on because there weren't many fourth downs converted, basically. So,
really? Right, okay.
It was a really boring game. It's not the one that you want to have when you've got your mate round who's like not really an NFL fan. That one bloke that's like, it's a bit stoppy-starty, isn't it? Like, this is the exact opposite.
I hate? It's the adverts.
Yeah, so long, boring adverts. So luckily I was on my own last night. Like, no one to explain the problems to. But
sure.
But we've been found out. The offense sucks, and it's similar to the sort of Solskjaer situation. Like, our head coach Matt Nagy is also the offensive play caller, so he is he's calling these plays that just keep sucking, basically, that keep collapsing. And so lots of Bears fans have been like, either sack Nagy altogether, which I don't agree with, or give the offensive coordinator role to someone who's a good offensive coordinator. And I think in this particular point, I'm with them. I'm with the fans. Because you're not sacking Nagy, he's still a head coach, but he's got too much on his plate. He can't seem to sort the offense out. Because we've got some good players, some good wide receivers, good running back, decent quarterback. Now we've got Foles in the hot seat. But somebody else needs to be calling those plays because they're just not working, basically.
Interesting. Yeah, there is a lot of talk about that because like a big one as well is with defensive coaches. There's a lot of defensive coaches that come in and want to be the defensive coordinator. But this comes from that Sky podcast that I listened to, the Inside the Huddle.
Oh yeah,
because he's the one of the pundits on that is a defensive coordinator for a Canadian team, and he says like the head coach has got too much on. Like, he's got enough on his plate. Like, he shouldn't be taking another person's job. That's a whole job for the game.
Yeah.
He's one of the things he said was like just even managing the clock is a a whole thing in itself. So just the big job for the head coach is keeping an eye on the clock, basically, and making sort of decisions as to what the team wants to do. So, for example, if you're down but you're near the end of a half and you know the ball's going to be on the other